In a high school lobby decked for Christmas, an assistant principal dumps a cafeteria Temp's tote, spilling food and a small wrapped toy in front of students. A custodial worker steps in, claims responsibility, and gets suspended, then quietly helps the man get home to his granddaughter. That act leads to small changes around the school and a steady shift in how leftovers and people are treated. Before we get started, tap like, share, and subscribe to join the journey. And tell me, where in the world are you watching? Drop your country below. I love seeing the global trail of these stories. The assistant principal yanked the canvas tote and turned it upside down. Oranges hit the lobby tile and rolled under a montage of paper snowflakes. A box of store-brand cookies slid into the base of the fake tree. A small wrapped toy car spun on its corner and skittered toward a plaster reindeer. The man holding the tote flinched. His hands hovered midair, empty. Kids in puffy coats stopped by the donation barrels marked Give. A few phones tilted up, then down when they saw the assistant principal's face. He said too loud, "We don't steal here." Lena stopped with her mop bucket at the edge of the mess. The hall lights hummed. The floor was wet from slush, a thin film of salt like frost. Someone's Bluetooth speaker down the hall played a tinny jingle bells. She saw the man's hands shake. Thin coat pressed like someone had used a towel to iron it, hair trimmed close. Cafeteria temp badge on a blue lanyard, yesterday's date. "Policy, Mr. Sayre. Policy, Mr. Ames said. He held the empty tote open as if it might bite him. Leftover food stays on site. Gifts stay for the drive. We are on camera. The man tried to speak. Nothing came out. He stooped for the oranges. A kid snorted. Another said, "Quiet, dang." Lena knew the camera angle. It would show the tree, the donation barrels, the bags, the old man, the administrator, and her mop. And her, if she got any closer. She also knew the city contract. Temps came and went. No one stood up for them when things went sideways. She had a daughter who needed a retainer repaired. She had a boss who circled missteps in red. She was up for full-time hours after New Year's. A write-up would push it off. Lena slid between him and the man. Her boots squeaked. She bent and picked up the small, wrapped toy. The paper had snowmen on it, taped with careful, crooked strips. "It's for my granddaughter," the man said in a thin voice, like he had to pull each word out with pliers. "Back of the cafeteria," Lena said to Mr. Ames, "we put out the extras today. We always do before break." He took what I set aside. She said it like it was the weather. Mr. Ames pinched the bridge of his nose. "We do not have an extras program, Ms. Ortiz." He looked pale, tired. There were dark bruises under his eyes. He wore a red tie with tiny Santas, the knot pulled too tight. "It's waste," Lena said. "Pull codes." The cookies were mismarked. Trays from service. All tossed by two. I bring a few to custodial. To the drivers. People who worked the shift. Management knows. She did not look at the camera dome. A teacher by the office door whispered, "Not now." Someone from the choir walked by in Santa hats carrying bells. The bells were silent. Mr. Ames pointed at the tote and the toy. "That is not waste. Gifts from the drive are not for staff." His voice had that tight edge it got when the district was watching. "We have an audit next week. A news crew, maybe. I cannot have this." Lena held the toy tight under her palm. "Put it on me," she said. "I authorized it. He was with me." It was a lie and a truth. She would have said yes if anyone asked. Mr. Ames stared at her. He looked at the camera, then at the kids. One of them shuffled oranges into a pile with his shoe. The man's breathing had a small whistle. "Fine, Mr. Small Whistle," Ames said. He went to the office door, came back with a carbon pad. He wrote fast. "Sign. Admission of removal of school property. You, not him." He held out a pen. "You will go home after. We will review after break." Lena thought of the retainer money. She thought of her mom's recipe for rice and beans, and the way the heat in her building thumped awake at 5. She thought of the tote landing hard. She signed. Her name looked like a wave on the page. "Card." "Mr. Ames said, holding out his hand. She handed over her badge, warm from her chest. Her radio chirped in her pocket. She turned it off. "I'll clock out," she said. The man bent to grab the box of cookies. His knuckles were red from the cold. Lena took the tote, refilled it with the oranges, the cookies, the wrapped toy. She added 2 granola bars from her pocket. "We're walking out now," she said. Mr. Ames set his mouth. "This is a suspension pending review. You cannot be on campus," he said. His eyes flicked to the kids, then back. We have rules for a reason. I know, Lena said. Don't dump someone's bag again. Her voice was flat. Not loud. She didn't make a speech. He looked like he wanted to say something else, then didn't. He stepped aside. The teacher kept staring at the floor. The kids made a path. Outside, the air bit. Lena's breath came out in white puffs. Cars idled in the pickup lane. Somewhere in the neighborhood, a siren wailed, then grew small. The man's coat didn't cover his wrists. Bus stop? Lena asked. He nodded. He didn't look her in the eye. That was my daughter's job, he said. She's gone. I just started. He held the tote like it might break apart. I got 20 on me, Lena said, more to herself than to him. She pulled cash from her back pocket. She ducked into the bodega on the corner and came out with a loaf of bread, a can of soup, and a knit hat in a plastic loop. She put the hat in his hands. For the kid, she said. What's her name? Naomi, he said. He said it gentle, the way people say a prayer. They stood at the bus sign marked Route 12. Her hands stung. The buses groaned up to the curb and sighed their doors open. A driver she knew. Carlos lifted a hand at her, then noticed her badge was gone and let it fall. Where? She asked. He gave an address on Ravine. 3rd floor, he added, like that mattered, like she needed to know the climb. She didn't want to drive across town with a suspended badge. Cameras read plates in the lot gates. She looked at the bus map, then at the sky going silver. I'll ride with you, she said. I got nowhere to be now. It was true in a way that made her gut clench. They sat in the sideways seats with the tote between them. The bus heater blew warm diesel air. A boy in a reindeer hoodie slept against the window. A woman in scrubs texted, thumb fast. The man opened his mouth, closed it. He looked at his cracked hands. I'm Earl, he said after 2 stops. Lena, she said. She looked out at the row houses with lights in their windows. Blue icicle strings sagged over porches. Plastic candy canes lined a yard like a little fence. The bus turned onto Ravine. They got off in front of a brick walk-up. The stairs were narrow and dark, the banister sticky with something sweet. She carried the tote up. He went slow, like his knees didn't like stairs. The walk-up smelled like old dust and boiled cabbage. A door on the 3rd floor had a wreath made of felt holly. The number 3 was held on with tape. He unlocked, and they went into a small living room. 1 window, 2 chairs, a thin tree in the corner, lit with a string of mismatched lights. A little girl sat cross-legged on a blanket with a coloring book. She looked up with big eyes. Her hair was in 4 puffs tied with red ribbons. Hi, Lena said softly. She lifted the tote to the kitchen counter, such as it was, a sink and a 2-burner stove. The radiator under the window clicked but didn't give heat. She turned the valve with a coin from her pocket. It squealed, then hissed. Warm air edged out in a line like a secret. Earl handed the wrapped toy to the girl. For you, babe, he said. The girl took it solemnly, then smiled so wide it made Lena's chest hurt. The toy car inside was bright red. She ran it along the edge of the table, the little wheels clicking over the fake wood grain. On the round table sat a thin stack of papers. The top one read Kinship Care, County. There was a box checked, needs support for food. A name written in blue ink, Naomi. Emergency contact, none. Next to it was a schedule from a clinic with appointment times 2 days a week, and a pawn ticket for a trumpet. Lena did not touch the papers. She saw them and looked away. She stirred the soup and poured it into a chipped bowl. She cut the bread with a plastic knife from the drawer. Earl sat like he wanted to help, and also like he might fall over. They ate standing up. The steam made her cheeks prickle. The lights on the tree blinked 1, 2, 3, and then the cheap star on top flickered twice and steadied. Thank you, Earl said finally. He said it in a way that made it sound like he was not used to saying it. Yeah, Lena said. She looked at Naomi's hat in the plastic. Put that on her when you go out, she said. It's real cold. She didn't say anything about the papers. She didn't say anything about the bus ride back. She left before it got dark. On the stairs, she passed a woman dragging a laundry bag. She held the door for her. The bus came fast. She watched the city blur by, then slow near the school. The tree in the lobby glowed through the glass. A student choir was practicing, their faces turned up. Her phone buzzed with a text from Dad's security. You okay? Mr. Ames is doing a thing. She thumbed back. I'm okay. Going home. See you when I see you. When school opened again in January, small things had moved. A wire shelf stood by the back door of the cafeteria with a hand-lettered sign. Leftovers. Take what you need. Next to it, a bin of gloves, hats, socks. No questions. It was always stocked in the last period, like magic. Mr. Ames stood there once, holding a clipboard, watching. He didn't touch anything, he told two seniors in leather jackets. Not for reselling, very quietly. But he didn't take the shelf away. Security stopped asking to look in bags at the front unless the alarm beeped. Des changed his tone from "open it" to "you got anything sharp in there?" in the mornings. The kids noticed. Fewer eyes went hard. In the staff room, someone put a coffee can with a sticky note. Gas money. The carpentry teacher slid a 20 in and nodded at Lena without words. She nodded back. A new checkbox appeared on the weekly supply sheet. Family bags. Count out. Lena filled them with dignity items. Soap, toothpaste, rice, like she'd seen smart people do. She set them plain by the door. No labels. One afternoon, Naomi came to the lobby in a blue coat that fit. She held Earl's hand and looked up at the papier-mâché snowflakes. She saw Lena by the water fountain and waved with all 5 fingers at once. She had the knit hat on her head. It was too big and perfect. At dismissal, Lena pushed her cart past the tree. Someone had fixed the plaster reindeer's ear with tape and paint. It made her smile. The write-up went into a file somewhere. HR sent a letter that said she had violated property removal policy, and then another that said the school would clarify procedures for food waste. Union sent a rep who smelled like peppermint and said you hung it on yourself clean. That helps. Mr. Ames nodded at her in the hall and said, "We have an audit." Like he needed to say it out loud to believe it. She went back to work. The floor needed mopping either way. The slush didn't care about policy. Lena sat on an upside-down milk crate in the boiler room. After last bell, the heat thumping behind her. Her hand smelled like bleach and cinnamon from the cafeteria. She let her head lean back against the cinder block. She didn't feel brave or stupid. She felt tired and awake at the same time. She thought about the sound the toy made when it skittered. The way Naomi's smile had widened at the red car. The pressure of Mr. Frere. Ames's eyes on her hand as she signed. She stood, switched off the overhead, and left the door open a crack so the cat that lived by the pipes could come and go. In the hallway, a paper snowflake turned slow in a draft from the heat vent, catching the light 1 triangle at a time. She watched it spin once, twice, and then she pushed her cart toward the lobby and the tree.